Oh, man. So, following a recent interview that Merab Dvalishvili just did with Megan Olivi ahead of his title defense against Umar Nurmagomedov at UFC 311, this just confirmed everything a lot of us already knew when it came to Merab versus Umar. And what I mean by that is I've been one of those out there. I've been like, look, Merab didn't want this fight. He never wanted this fight. He was glazing Petr Yan after his performance over Figueiredo. He was calling for the Sean O'Malley rematch. Merab would have done anything that the UFC asked other than fight Umar, and the UFC says, nah, man, you're fighting this guy. You're fighting your worst possible matchup. We're trying to get you up off that seat that has the championship belt. And Merab just, his whole energy, right? It dates back to the press conference, which, by the way, was one of the best press conferences that we've seen in quite some time for the UFC. So thank you, Merab. Thank you, Umar, for that. But this interview right here, what did Conor McGregor say back in the day when he was doing that little segment with Jose Aldo? This is not a therapy session. This felt like a therapy session for Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, look at his face right here before the interview even starts, man. This guy does not want to talk about Umar. And anytime he does talk about Umar, you're going to hear him say it was a gift. He didn't earn it. This, that, blah, blah, blah. That is the whole mantra I get from Merab Dvalishvili is he doesn't want this fight. Very plain and simple. So I pulled some different moments for us to take a look at. We're going to hear him talk about the pressure since becoming champion, which I don't think a lot of the pressure has been so much, oh, well, now I'm the champion. It's the fact that he won the title, and everyone's like, okay, well, Umar just beat Corey Sandhagen. This is the clear guy that we would like to see fight for the belt against you, and this happens to be your hardest stylistic matchup. And Merab knows that. And what I find very interesting as well, you're going to get to hear him talk about a lot of these things, in particular the Umar matchup. But one of the clips that I pulled for us is the one that really is interesting to me. One, he talks about the schedule that he kind of had in his mind, that he built up in his mind, which it sounded like he wanted to fight Yan, O'Malley, and then possibly get to an Umar fight. But it was when he told Aljo and Chris Weidman and talked to these guys about taking this fight, it seemed like everyone was kind of surprised as to what was going on with Merab. So we will get to all of that, but I first want to start with him talking about what has changed since becoming champion, because I feel like a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, when you win the belt, everything changes. Yeah, a lot of things change. You become more popular, the notoriety. But the pressure, I think, is coming from the fact that he won this title and everyone was sitting there saying Umar is his hardest matchup. Umar's the guy that should be fighting him. I think that's where a lot of the pressure obviously is coming from. So let's just listen to what Merab has to say here.
All right, Merab, you've got to tell me, how has life changed since you've become the world champion?
I mean, it's been good, but since I became champion, it's came a lot of drama too, yeah, lots of talking online. I don't know, maybe because of everybody wanted to see me fight against Umar, everybody talking and I used to, the last couple fights, I used to get a lot of attention, to people recognize me, but to hate in Instagram and even in social media, it was very hard for me, and so that was like extra pressure, but it's all good, now I'm good, focus for fight.
He doesn't seem good to me, man. He doesn't seem good to me. This just seems like, as I said in the very beginning, almost like a vent session, a little bit of you can tell, like a lot of us know, right? Merab didn't want this fight. He didn't want this fight, and he spins it and pitches it as, well, Umar isn't deserving. And I understand to a degree, like what someone like Merab is saying. Merab's like, look, I had to go through the ringer. The UFC was not just going to give me a title opportunity, but by the same token, and Merab had to stack up a bunch of wins, so I understand his thought process here. But the sport is fast changing. When you're a guy like Umar Nurmagomedov, who many people aren't going to sign on the dotted line to fight you because they know it's a hard matchup. The guy can do it all. He can strike, he can box, he can kick, he's got outstanding grappling. He's a hard matchup. Why is anyone in the rankings really going to want to risk fighting Umar? Right? I mean, so that's kind of what was kind of going on there. And then Corey Sandhagen says, dude, I'll step up and fight this guy. I'll step up and fight him. And then when you go in there and you beat Corey Sandhagen like that, a guy like Sandhagen is one of the most well-rounded guys in the division, one of the best fighters in the weight class. It's absolutely going to put you in position for a title shot. But you can just tell right off the bat, the pressure from this obviously is coming from the fact that the Umar fight was looming over his head. He's like, yeah, with O'Malley, and there wasn't a lot of pressure on Merab. There wasn't a lot of pressure. There wasn't a lot of people necessarily talking bad about Merab, which the only things that people were really saying is, oh, Merab's an idiot, which he kind of is. Or they're like, his fighting style's kind of boring. He's not really my cup of tea. And it's like, okay, that's not too terrible. But now that you have Umar Nurmagomedov, who's a very popular guy, part of Team Khabib, all those different things, there's a different pressure that Merab is feeling that he's not used to where if this was, that's why he wanted the Petr Yan fight. That's why he wanted the O'Malley fight. There's no pressure. Those guys have big fan bases. They're strikers, this and that. To where with Umar, it's this incredibly hard matchup. And you can tell, man, it is really weighing on Merab. But I find this interesting here. So he's about to talk about how he feels like Conor McGregor. So let's let this play here.
How have you learned to navigate that part of being the champion?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still learning something. You know, I think the best way is now I should just stay busy. Like I take fight and now just that's it. Because I was gonna enjoy this time, but no, I feel like I'm a Conor McGregor. A lot of drama comes. You know, I feel like even John Jones and like Mike Tyson used to get like a lot of drama before. I'm like, where is this coming from? Same guy trying to do same things, but it's it's all good.
This is what happens when you become champion, right? The limelight's on you, the pressure's going to be on you, and like I said, the Umar fight kind of, waiting in the wing. But you know what? Merab and Conor McGregor are going to have in common come January. They're both going to lose to a Nurmagomedov. Conor lost to Khabib. Merab is about to lose to Umar, man. And you can just tell, man, like it's eating at him. And you can tell by the way he's approaching this. He's kind of laughing some things off. And I get what he means about, he's like, I feel like John Jones, Tyson, like McGregor. It's like these guys are in the limelight. They got the eyeballs on them. But this is really the first time that Merab is experiencing this kind of next level. I don't want to say hate because I don't really think it's hate. I just think it's dislike, right? They're like, you are avoiding Umar. This is the fight we want to see you fight next. And we have guys like Dracus du Plessis. We have guys like Bilal. And they're like, give me the next hardest challenge. DDP's like, Hamzat, he went in there. He beat one ranked guy in the middleweight division in Robert Whittaker. It was impressive. He went in there and did that. That's who everyone doesn't think I can beat. Give me the challenge. And then Bilal Muhammad's like, you think Shavkat's the hardest fight for me? Give me that guy. And I know that you can say Shavkat's got some wins in the division, and I get all that. The point is, Merab was trying to avoid the hardest challenge for him. Whether it's the next guy in line or not, as the champion, I don't necessarily think that you can have your opinion on it, but whoever the UFC is going to present and whoever the community and the fans think is that next guy, that's who's going to be pushed. So it's just interesting to hear because you can definitely tell the pressure is getting to Merab, and I feel like that may make him fight a different way. You saw him against Sean O'Malley, how he was kind of emotional, and I'm curious to see what that brings to the table come fight night against Umar, because a guy he was very patient against O'Malley, which is what he's about to talk about here when he fought Sean O'Malley, because I did think Merab had a very good game plan in this fight against Sean O'Malley. And I was actually very impressed by Merab in the Sean O'Malley fight because I thought he was very patient. He had a very good game plan coming in. He didn't put himself in harm's way and get too reckless to where he opened himself up to being countered by Sean O'Malley, because we all know Sean O'Malley is an outstanding striker. And I think a lot of the doubt with Merab coming into this is he can't get away with the same stuff that he's been getting away with a lot of these other guys with Umar. He knows Umar has good grappling. He's got good striking on the feet, and he is a real problem for Merab. But the pattern that you notice throughout this interview, because we're going to get into some of the other things where you just get to see he kind of had this plan in his mind, and this whole thing with Umar and the UFC pushing this on him had just thrown a massive wrench in it, I think, mentally, and just kind of what Merab was looking for. So just take a listen to kind of his thoughts on the Sean O'Malley, but then he kind of plays ping pong and bounces around. So I just think it's interesting, man. He seems rattled.
Because I put a lot of work in, and I was... And also, I fought very smart, I just don't risk it. I don't even waste my energy, and I was just saving energy. And the fifth round, when I was holding down, the referee told me to work. I let him go, and after I was trying to take him down, it was hard after this. And then he even landed one front kick to my stomach, and I was so mad at myself. Oh, I should finish him. Why I should not? But so he's a good fighter. But I know he was waiting for big punch to knock me out. But I don't give him what he wants, and I just dominate. And that was so.
Dominate, right? So a lot of people keep throwing that out there, and at first off the night, I was like, maybe he kind of did dominate the fight. And if you go back and watch it, it wasn't as dominant as you think, right? Sean O'Malley was kind of standing in there. He was kind of picking and poking on some shots. Nothing really significant landed, which is kind of what we're used to seeing from O'Malley. So I think that that's what made it kind of look a little less like O'Malley did as much as maybe you originally thought. But if you go back and watch it, he was landing some shots on Merab, and that front kick up the middle definitely hurt him. But it's always with Merab. It's the control, it's the pace, it's the chaotic style, right? The cardio and the will to just continue to move forward and take guys down. But what he knows coming into this fight, and I think that this is what is just driving him nuts, he can't get away with the same things. He has to worry about the kicks. He can't just spam a million takedowns without having some sort of consequence. So I think that all this is, again, very, very telling.
Easy for me, and but now I was so excited too. Maybe when Peter called me, I was gonna fight him March, and O'Malley, he said he was gonna come back April. Yeah, right? Yeah, April. I was gonna fight him in Miami, and maybe I was thinking to, since Umar can't fight in March, and I was thinking to maybe he can fight in May, but everything flipped, and now here we are. I take this challenge, and I'm here talking with you.
Yeah.
Does that seem like an excited guy to take on the challenge that he has coming up in Umar? He doesn't seem excited at all. He seems pissed off. He seems bothered. He seems annoyed, which is exactly what I said is why Merab acted the way he did at that press conference. He did not want this fight. He was avoiding it, and that was the disrespect that Merab kept saying. He couldn't point to one sign of disrespect from Umar because all of it was, you're avoiding me. I'm the next. I just went in there and beat Corey Sandhagen. I put myself in position to fight for the title, and you don't want to fight me. You want to go out there and you're like, you know that he's fighting in March, so you're like, you know that you're like, I'll fight someone in March. I'll wait till March. You wanted to wait till that time because you know it's during Ramadan. You know Umar's not going to compete during that time probably, right? So it's all very strategic, and it's very telling to what the game plan was going to be from Team Merab. They wanted to fight Petr Yan. They wanted to fight Sean O'Malley, get two defenses in there, and then who knows if he actually would have fought Umar. Maybe he would have. Maybe he would have bounced to another division. Who even knows?
Everyone's excited about the matchup. What makes you excited about finally being able to face Umar?
Umar is a good fighter. It's a big challenge, but he don't earn it like rest of us. You know, like we all know that we all work hard to earn to get here, and I mean, I don't get anything easy, but Umar somehow gets easy. He just complains all the time. Nobody wanna fight him, but there is so many good fighters. There is Bautista. There is other fighters. They are killers. You know, even Jackson. I forget his first name.
So what he's saying is, he's like, I just wanted him to have to go through the ringer, right? Because again, Merab is someone who he was never a favorite of the UFC. He wasn't someone that the UFC kind of was like, you know what, we see something here with Merab. We want to really give him a push to where they kind of made him go through the ringer, which is true. But by the same token, when you go in there and you're Umar Nurmagomedov and a lot of people are ducking you, they don't want to take that risk their ranking. And the only guy that's willing to step up to the table is a top 5 guy in Corey Sandhagen, who's also one of the best in the division. And you go in there and put on that type of performance, you earn a title shot, man. Like, I feel that way. I feel like you earn a title shot. And again, it's right back to trying to discredit Umar, man.
And he fought only Sandhagen, no wrestling, and he's
no wrestling. Corey Sandhagen's got pretty good wrestling. I know it's not as good as some of the other guys in the division. He's as well-rounded as it gets. He's got good striking, good footwork, good kicks. He's a dangerous opponent in terms of he's super well-rounded. He's very, scientific in the way he approaches things. He's very, methodical. He's got very high fight IQ. That's not an easy fight. I think stylistically, that's one of the hardest fights for Umar in the division. I know Corey Sandhagen's not always out there finishing people, but he's a hard puzzle. So, again, discrediting everything that Umar has done is just crazy, man.
Because I guess he's using this excuse. He beat number 2 guy.
It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's the facts. It's the facts, dude. You go in there and you beat someone in the top 5, a guy that has fought for an interim title against Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen, a guy that actually has a win over, he's got Oh, he's got great wins. He's got some solid wins. Well, I shouldn't say great. He's got some solid wins, though, right? He's beaten Song Yadong. He's went in there. He's beaten Marlon Chito Vera, Rob Font. Like, he's kind of beaten the who's who in the division. He's just been kind of a guy like one step down from being a champion. But he's still a good competitor. What's the excuse? You went in there and beat him. That's not an excuse. That's the facts.
And now he's here, and then it's a big challenge. But I just only what I hate, he just don't earn it like how real like UFC fighter should earn it, and then he's just cocky, you know. He should be humble at least, and then, but he was disrespect me online. Then that's what real men should do. That's it.
So you see that Merab's kind of running with this narrative. He disrespected me online. Where's the disrespect? Umar even asked, like, what did I say to disrespect you? What did I even say? He can't point to anything. It's the fact that he was avoiding the fight, and Umar was calling that out. And it pisses off Merab because it's the truth. And then when, you know, we've been out there saying you wanted to fight Jan again, you wanted to fight O'Malley again, because those are better matchups for you. Those are matchups to where you can control the pace, you can control the grappling. You're not going to be matched really in those departments. That's why he wants those fights. They're better matchups for him. They're easier wins. They're still difficult fights, but he ran through Petr Yan. Why? No one wants to see that again. At least I don't. You want to see him fight O'Malley again? I don't either. I don't care to see that again. Maybe down the line if he could defend the title here, but I don't think he can. Right? So it's very, very interesting at how he's kind of, it's almost like he's trying to do the thing where he's trying to create something for himself to get mad at Umar. And he's like, yeah, he didn't earn it the same way, but we've seen the UFC change, man. Kaya Sakura just came into the UFC without having a single fight and got thrown into a title fight. This stuff is happening all the time now. Guys come in, they're new to a division, they win one fight inside the top of the division, they get a title shot. Look at how Alex Pineda got speed rushed to a title shot. It happens. It happens to a lot of different fighters. It's not just Umar. He's acting like Umar's the only one. At least Umar beat a top 5 guy.
How do you feel like this actual fight looks then?
The fight will be really tough, and this is big challenge for me because it's a new face, and yeah, he's a good fighter. He has a good kicking, good striking, good wrestling, and yeah, it's a new challenge.
It's a new challenge because he's good everywhere. And Merab's best asset is what? His gas tank and his ability to just wrestle, not necessarily control guys, but spam 1,000 takedowns, not get tired, you get tired, and then just kind of dictate the pace upon that. And he knows coming into a fight with Umar, he can't strike with Umar. Umar's got some of the best striking in the division, which I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. He's got really good boxing, really good kicks. He's got outstanding wrestling. So is Merab just going to be able to spam 1,000 takedowns? Probably not. They'll get stuffed. Maybe Umar will end up putting him in bad positions. And Umar actually has finishing potential. He's got submissions. He's got ground and pound. He looks for finishes. Merab doesn't necessarily look for finishes. Merab basically has one finish, I believe, since being in the UFC. He had that crazy spinning back fist to get himself a contract into the UFC. He's not a finisher. He's not a finisher. So he knows that this is a guy that kind of cancels out what he's able to get away with in these other matchups. And that's where all of this is stemming from, man.
What kind of advice has Aljo and maybe Chris Weidman given you about not just being champion, but all the dramatics, all the things that happen behind the scenes and how to deal with them as well?
So this is interesting. This is what I want you to pay attention to, because you get to hear again kind of when he was talking about the O'Malley fight and kind of the schedule he had. Just listen to his answer here.
Aljo was a little bit shocked, like, why you take this early. You know, you should take a good training. You know, I don't even tell him before because he was like fight week, and they happen like this, and I don't even tell nobody, you know, because that's how Aljo make his decision his own. I make my decision. We never talk like this. We are friends, and we always support each other, you know. That's how we are. But even Chris, you know, like they was a little bit surprised that I take this like it'll be kind of short nowadays and without long training camp, because when you're a champion, you have to be more smart. You know, it's one thing to come champion, but second, you have to defend this. You know, and it's without risk and stuff like this. But
so it's interesting, right? Because Chris Weidman, hearing from him, whatever. Aljamain Sterling, that's what's interesting, right? Because I think that he's saying because Aljo was, you know, during fight week preparing for Movsar Evloev. Aljo's been on the other, he's kind of been in Merab's shoes, right? Aljamain Sterling, he had a couple title defenses. UFC's like, the guy that we want to have the title is Sean O'Malley. So what we're going to do is right after Aljamain Sterling beats Henry Cejudo, Dana White, who never books fights the night of a fight, he's basically like, no, that's the next fight. It's going to happen in Boston. Like they already had this all mapped out, and they were going to put the pressure on Aljo and force him to turn around on a short notice, cut all the weight again, not have exactly a full camp to be able to prepare. Now, this is a little bit of a different situation because, you know, Merab fought back at UFC 306, so it's a little bit different, but Aljo's very familiar with the UFC doing these kinds of stunts to get the guy who they are kind of, you know, the UFC, obviously they're not going to tell us who they want to win this. I'd be shocked if they want Merab to beat Umar, right? I mean, I feel like Umar, he's more marketable. He's got a more exciting style. You know, the last name, he has the it factor when it comes to that. So you don't think that that's something the UFC's factoring in? And Aljo knows that, man. So that's why he's like this. And that's why Merab, they were probably like, listen, Merab, sit down. This is what we're doing. Hurry up, make your decision. And they didn't want all these other opinions and names, you know, getting involved to try to sway Merab from taking this opportunity. But again, it sounds to me like the UFC didn't necessarily give Merab. They were like, you're doing this, man. This is what you're doing.
Hey, I like to take this challenge. Like I said, you know, I want to give people what they want, and I want to give UFC what UFC wants. And I'm tired of listening Umar's disrespect.
Again, what's the disrespect, man? The disrespect that Merab feels like he's feeling is the fact that he was avoiding Umar and he was glazing Jan and O'Malley because he wanted to fight those guys again instead of fighting the hardest challenge in line. I know that you can sit there and say Umar didn't take the long road to the title like Merab did, and I get that. But the guy went in there and beat Corey Sandhagen. He put himself in position. This is the next hardest challenge, who the UFC is saying and who the fan base is saying in the community. That's who the next guy is, man. So let's move on to our last clip here. We don't know how Merab fights, but I always think it's interesting to hear from a fighter of how they're going to get this done. And just look at the doubt, man. I'm telling you, it's the doubt coming from Merab. This guy's not confident, man.
Hand race against Umar Nurmagomedov.
It's going to be a tough fight, good fight. And, of course, I'm going to looking for finish, but, you know.
One finish in his UFC career.
That to win against the top opponent and then change his zeros to one like loss, that would be good, you know. And so win will be just, you know, I'm not fighting somebody like it's like easy opponent, you know. It's gonna be Umar Nurmagomedov, and
you caught that easy opponent, and he's like laughing about it. He's like, that's why he wanted Jan. That's why he wanted O'Malley. Not that they're easy opponents. They're a lot easier of a challenge than Umar. You see, like, he slips up, man. And Aljo's been in interviews and on his podcast talking about this, and you hear these guys slip up, and the truth comes out, man.
Win against him, I will take it. Doesn't matter, but not like. Not like disqualification or something. As long as I win, as long as I will win good, and I'll be happy.
Well, listen, Evan.
Merab would go in there and throw an illegal strike just to get out of it. Listen, man, I think this is going to be a very good fight back and forth. I like the fact that we have someone in Umar who could go in there and match the attributes that Merab brings to the table. Umar's got good striking, good grappling, a good gas tank. He is the hardest challenge for Merab in this division. I believe Umar is able to get this thing done. But if Merab was able to pull this off, man, this would be massive for his career. And I feel like that's how Merab maybe should kind of spin it to himself. If I could go out there and beat a guy to shut everybody up and beat this dude, that would be massive in terms of Merab's legacy and for his career moving forward. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you do not miss an upload. I would appreciate it. See you next time.